Hi, everybody. So today I want to share with you how I actually work with stencils, how I make my stencils. Now, there are two ways. I can do it. I actually usually do it on the computer because I'm a graphic designer. But today I decided to do it by hand, which means I need a hobby knife, some kind of cutting knife. And of course, a good cutting board. I like the small ones because I can move it around while I'm cutting. And then obviously I also need some carbon paper to transfer my image onto the sheets. And then I need my image that I want to transfer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to explain a bit about how these stencils work. My stencils that I use often fit one on top of each other. So different portions of the actual picture then get printed. The big thing about this stenciling is that you have to get them really lined up very well. So what I usually do is I'll take the block of paper that I'm using for whatever project I'm doing, and I'll use a few of these pages to make the stencils because they're exactly the same size. And then I know that every time I just have to line up the corners of the page and the stencil will be in the right place. So that's basically the theory behind what I do and how I do it. The next thing is to find a design. So you can draw your own design like I've done here, or you can print out something from the internet and decide to use that as a design. So I'm going to describe the process of both of these. The one where I've drawn it myself, which I sort of like can then control what shapes I have and where I want it, what I want as a stencil, and then another image maybe from the internet. Good. So I'm going to share my camera, and then you'll see my gelatin plate, and then I'm just going to make a print with it just to make it more fun than just an old stencil. So let's go to share it. There we go. So this is my design. So what I do beforehand is I sort of plan out which stencils I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be making like this blue one. And the black will be one stencil. The red will be a stencil, and the green will be a stencil. I was originally going to make these all different colors and the hearts, but then I would have had to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stencils, and I decided just to make it a bit simpler, that these two parts of the wings are the same color as the hearts. Those two are the same color, and then the body of the butterfly. So what I do then is I draw each of these onto a piece of paper and make sure that they're lined up. And I'll have my carbon paper between here and the next one. So I'll put the carbon paper down, make sure the pages are lined up. The carbon paper is not so important, but I have to make sure the pages are lined up. So what I do usually is you can't really see it, so I'm just going to bring it down a bit. I make sure that the carbon paper is a bit below, and then I line it up and I really hold it tight and draw around these things. And so I've already cut this now because I actually lost the previous video. So I'll draw around it and then I'll get that shape, and then I cut it out. So here you can see it's already been cut out. And what I actually always do is I keep the pieces that come out because we can use them. So it looks like this. So that's the piece I cut out. And here's the other piece I cut out. And so I'll keep these pieces because maybe I can use them as a mask or something like that. So this is basically the process. So that will be the first one. Then what I do is I mark the top of the paper with a cross, or the front or the back, the top, and I mark here that this is the top of the page. So because when I use the stencil, I can use it like that, or like that. And I have to make sure I do it the same for every single one of them. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. So I'm just put a blue cross to say, hey, this is the one side and this is the top of the picture. And then I'll do the next piece. So the next piece would have been like this, looked like this when I had drawn it. Okay. So it was carbon paper on, and then the image, draw around these two, get that, and cut it out. This is certainly going quicker than before. And again, blue, that's the upside, and this is the top. And this is how I'll go on with all the different layers. There's the next part of the picture. So what I've got here is 1, 2, and the 3 hearts. Let's just move this down a bit. So, and the 3 hearts. And then, of course, I've got all these little pieces still left. And the hearts as well, somewhere along the line, somewhere around. They fit in as well. So I've got all these little pieces to use as masks. And then I've got my stencil. And my last stencil will be the body. So I drew that, cut it out, and also have the body as a mask. Always marking the one side of the page. It doesn't really matter whether I intend to use this as the top or the bottom, but I just have to make sure that it's all the same throughout my stencils. Now, the thing to remember about stencils is if I use the stencil like this, then the pictures are going to come out inverse. So I've got to be careful that I actually think about what I'm doing, but I want my picture, the end result, to be like that. So I have to make sure that I actually use the stencil with the face down. So my cross is going to be on the gelatine plate. Okay, so that's the stencil for the butterfly. You can, of course, take an image from the internet, and then what I do with a marker is I would mark the colors that I want to have as a stencil. So you have to remember that with stencils, you can't have little bits and pieces in the middle of the stencil because obviously there's nothing to hold it together. So basically this pink shape would be my first stencil. If I want the bib to be a different color, I would have to print the pink shape in one color, and then I'd have to make another stencil with just the bib. And that would print over the first color. And on the same stencil, I could also take in and do the ears. So I could make a stencil that's just got these 3 holes in it, or the little pads for the feet. But I would probably do the ears and the bib on one. And then the pads and the cheeks, maybe on a second one. These are very, very small. And then I wouldn't worry about the little ones. I would just make a big pad for his hand, his paw, because the other ones are too small. So I could do that, or else I could just paint it with a bit of paint. And things like the eyes and that part, I definitely wouldn't make a stencil. It's just too fine for that. I would use a paintbrush or a pen, depending on what type of paint I'm using. And then, of course, we've got the mane. The mane would be a stencil with this shape. And around here, you have to be quite accurate with your drawing and then your cutting for later on, that it meets up nicely. Look, I wasn't very accurate there. And what you could do, so what I probably would do is I would give this guy a nose. and his tail. Okay, no, wait, let's do it like this. So the nose, I wouldn't do here. The nose, I would, so the mane and the tail, I would do in one color. And then the nose would do in a color, and this piece of the tail in a, maybe black. So basically I would have 1, 2, 3, 4 stencils, maybe 5 if I'm going to do the cheeks as well. 5 stencils for this one. And it will be the same process. Onto the piece of paper that you're going to print onto, position your picture properly so that it matches. Now, what you're going to do if you have a bigger page. So let's say your page was as big as this tray that I've got here. So the best thing to do is to take the first page and to trace the whole picture onto your end format. And then to take that whole picture and do the individual tracings for the individual stencils. Because the problem is if you use this, then you still can't position it exactly for every stencil. You have to get the first picture onto the end format that you're going to be using ultimately, and then use that whole picture to trace for different stencils. I hope I've made that clear. Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun printing. The great thing about being a freelance graphic designer is that I get to choose when I work and when I print. So this is not a very clean jelly plate, but it does not matter. So let's start out. I'm just using some leftover paints here, so I hope they're going to last. Going to be enough. Okay, I'm going to start with blue. And I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is the wing, this wing. And remember, I'm going to put the blue cross onto the gelatine plate. Okay, so here we go. I'm using tempera paints here. I usually like to use oil paints, but I've been experimenting with the cheaper tempera paints also because they're easier to source. So I'm going to make a bit of structure here and see how that works. There's my... So remember, I put the blue cross on the plate, and now I need a piece of paper. What did I do with my block? Where's it gone? There it is. Okay. And so let's take our first print. I'm using my hands here, but you can also use a wallpaper roller. Oops, it slid off a bit. I've got to be careful. Okay. You can take a wallpaper roller as well. And so there will be our first print. So I didn't really get much of something down here, so I'm going to put it back. And this is the great thing, because I've lined it up exactly, I can actually often catch those holes that I've missed, because I can just place it back there, and I know it was here somewhere. So I'm just going to rub it a bit with my fingers and take a peek. Okay, there's a bit more coming out there. Okay, there we go. So that's the one butterfly wing. Now what I've theoretically got here is another pattern. Let's just hope that the paint hasn't dried, because that would also be quite a nice pattern for a butterfly wing. With the oil paints, this process doesn't have to be quite so quick. It's more time to think. But with any kind of tempera or acrylic paint, you've got to work really quickly here. Otherwise, it just dries. So I do add a bit of alcohol to it to make it extend the drying time a bit. Okay, here we go. Oh, that came out quite nicely. There we go. So something wasn't so great over there. I'm going to try and get it. Might be that there's just no paint. Okay, no, that's it. So that's the second print. The one is the negative wing, and there's the positive print. So I've got two pictures that I'm basically building up here now. Okay, so let's do the next wing. The next part of the wing I'm going to do sort of with red because I've got blue on my brayer. So that will probably turn purpley, which is also quite a nice color for a butterfly wing. Okay, I'm going to spray this a bit so that it doesn't dry quite so quickly. Okay, and what I want for this one is some nice sort of like structure here that you get from the lovely edges of the leaves. Okay, remember to decide where this is going. So I've decided this is going on the gelatine surface, and that will be my, oh, I've got a problem. I haven't got enough paint here. So that will be my wing. All right, let's just take it like that. And I'm going to use this print. Once again, line it up. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, I'm just going to go a bit more here. So now obviously I'm missing a few things. Oh, what I did forget to do was the hearts. Oh gosh, okay, no problem. So that's one part. Let's pull off these plants and see if there's some structure left there for us to pull. So I'll pick up the plant and put the print back. There we go. So now because it's hand cut and everything, these things don't line up 100%. If you do it with a plotter, stencil plotter, then obviously you're going to get it lined up a bit better. But I don't mind. That's sort of what I think gelatine printing is all about. Good. Now there's not much left there, so I'll just give that one a break. And put some more red on them. I'm going to give my brayer a bit of a wash so we don't have quite so much blue coming through. I'm going to give it a bit of a clean. Okay, make some space for the hearts this time. And what have I got here? Let's take the fern. So the fern's not going to give a very good print for the first print, I think. Yeah. Oh, I'm still not getting those hearts in there. Okay, but let's just do it like this and then see what happens. So obviously I'm not going to get very much paint there. But I like this here on a butterfly wing. I can imagine that's going to be good. So we always got to watch where the top of your page is, because otherwise they're not going to line up. Okay, so this will be the first one. Not really great expectations for that. There we go. Now I'm going to take the fern away. Now I've got some nice structure there. Oh, I didn't get the part of the wing, so back we go. I missed out that little piece over there. And this is the great thing about lining it up on a frame or a stencil. There we go. Good. So I've been ignoring the hearts on the stencil, so maybe I should do something about that. I had these 3 little hearts up here, but I kept on forgetting to put a decent amount of paint on there. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to add some yellow. I'm just going to do it upside down for you for now because I just want to get that paint there. Think about where I am and what I'm doing. So there we go. I'm not going to rub too much on the other side. I'm just going to rub here where the hearts are. And I hope that I get them. Yes, not quite. That one up there. There we go. And if I lift it, I can just add some paint and do the next one. Oh my gosh, that was not good at all. Not very nice looking hearts. So back we go. I missed something here. That looks better. Good. And that's very pretty sort of structure that I've got there. I'm wondering. This, this is always the problem. You never know if you should take a chance and do something crazy. I'm really not sure if I should. Would love to get that piece in the bottom of my picture somehow. I'm just going to add it over here. I don't know how this is going to work. Maybe I'm just going to block off a bit there and add this down here. Probably going to be a bit crazy. Yeah, well. We will see. Okay, so now what's left is those lines that I had and the body. Okay, I'm going to, let's make them orange. Light orange, yellow orange color. Now the one is quite long, so I have to make sure I'm getting enough Am I getting it? Get it on here? Nope. Take this over a bit. So that's the great thing with stencils. You can just look for the paint just to make sure it's where you want it. You're getting the right piece off. And we'll do the one that I didn't probably destroy it, this one. Think where the top of my picture is again. So, okay. There we go. Oh, no, I missed that piece again. Oh, here we go again. There we go. With the tempera paint, you're getting the suction from the paper and the paint in the structure, in the design. With oil paints, it's much smoother. Oh my gosh, I've got this lovely design here. Oh, goodness me, I really don't know what to do with it. So I think I'm just going to make a new print. Because who knows what we can use that for in the future. Okay, it's pulling up quite a bit of the old paint as well now. Good. So the next thing is the second lot of yeah, I don't know, what are they, airwaves or whatever. Oh no, no paint left. No, come on. All right, no paint. Then we'll take blue. So I could clean my brayer, but I'm hoping it's going to be a bit of a greeny color. Yeah, it's coming out sort of green when it all mixes up. And let's get the stencil down again. And the butterfly down again. Part of gelatine printing is also learning how to deal with the disasters and the mistakes and the things that didn't quite work out the way we wanted to, or those moments when we just don't know when to stop and we go too far and we do too much and spoil it. But this is starting to look okay. I'm quite happy with it. Good. So the last thing now is the body, and I want to do the body in black because I like the contrast. Oh my gosh, and I've got another lovely print here. So I will be saving that one. Ooh, wow. I love these prints. You never know what you're going to get and what you're going to use it for in the future. Really super. Okay, body time. A little bit of black paint. You don't need to roll out so much because the body is relatively small. Dry paint on the way. There we go. Oops. Take it it up a bit. And let's see. Checking where all the pieces are so that I know in which area to rub, or else obviously I can rub with the roll it with it. And the second body, I'm just going to add some paint to it. Got an air bubble in my gelatine plate. It looks a bit like an eye. So here we go again. Oops, I forgot his tail. Back to the drawing board. See if I've got it now. Yeah. Good. So I've basically done 2 prints. This is one. And this is the other one. I quite like this one, even though I thought I had messed it up with that bit there. Sort of makes it a bit more lively. And now, of course, the question is, what can we do to this to make it, to just give it a bit more something or the other? Good question. Let's see if I can think of something. All right, so this is the point where things could go terribly wrong and you could make a terrible mess. But I would say we give it a bash. I'm not really sure. Okay, we shall try something. Okay, I'm just going to cheat a little bit and add some hearts at the bottom of the one. So I'm just going to roll out enough for the hearts. And then I'm going to use this one that I already have. Okay, here. Just make sure I block off all the other holes because I don't want them. So this is also where I can use these pieces that I cut out before. I can put them back in here and just use them to block the holes because I don't want any of that to be printing onto my picture. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn this around and print like this. So that's my picture, and I want to print the hearts at the bottom here somewhere. So let's do that. Oh my gosh, it's still looking a bit boring to me. I'm missing sort of a bit of the gelatine sort of look. Okay, I've got one last idea. And then I will stop because sometimes there is nothing more to be done and anything else will just spoil it. So I've got one last idea, and that means just getting the plate a bit clean first. Also, it's a bit dirty now with all this black. I'm not going to worry too much about the other colors. And then I'm going to should not have brought these paints along. And hopefully some yellow. Just give the roller a bit of a wipe quickly. All right, so all right, so I'm trying to just have to think a bit carefully. I want to have these edges coming out into the actual picture here. So what I need is some paper to mask it. Check the size, and at the bottom here as well. A big experiment, hold my breath and hope it's going to work out and not spoil the picture completely. What I'm trying to do is to align it so it's sort of parallel to the edge of the page. And okay, let's see what I've done here. Okay, not quite. Oh well. Let's just add some more to the other side. Just for the heck of it. I think this was a case of one time too many. Oh, well, it has a certain charm. That's for sure. I think I'm going to leave it. All right. So that's, yeah, printing with stencils. Printing with stencils. We've just made 2 pictures. This one doesn't look too bad now that I see it, and that one. Okay, this one's starting to appeal to me more than this one, but yeah. So that's basically the printing with stencils and other materials. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, I will put the original drawing below the video so that you can also use it if you want to and make your own stencils. So it's a bit sketchy, but that's just, you just choose the pieces that you like and make your own stencils, and then post and see what, we'd love to see what you've done and what everybody's going to do with this. I hope somebody's going to do something really fantastic. So have fun and we'll see you soon.